Welcome, Dee Dee. There we go. Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Savatinidanang ekamantang titoko kamado deva putto bhagavantang etadavocha tukarang bhagava sutukarang bhagavati tukarang vapi karonti kamadati bhagava seka sila samahita tittata Anagari upe tassa tutti hoti sukhavahati tulabha bhagava yadidang tuttiti tulabhang vapi labhati lavanti kamadati bhagava chittavu pasame rata yesang divacha ratocha bhavanaya rato manoti Dussamadhanang bhagava yatitang chittanti Dussamadhang vapi samadhanti Kamadati bhagava indriyu pasamerata te chetva machuno jalang arya gachanti kamadati ti Duggamo bhagava visamo maggoti Duggame Vesame Vapi Arya Gachanti Dhammada Anarya Visame Magge Papatanti Avansira Aryanang Sammo Maggo Aryahi Vesame Samati. English. With Kamada, Atsavati. Standing to one side, the god Kamada said to the Buddha, "It's too hard, Blessed One. It's just too hard." "They do it even though it's hard," said the Buddha to Kamada, the stable trainees with ethics and immersion. "For one who has entered the homeless life, contentment brings happiness." "Such contentment, Blessed One, is hard to find." "They find it even though it's hard," said the Buddha to Kamada. "Those who love peace of mind, whose minds love to meditate by day and night." "But it's hard, Blessed One, to immerse this mind in samadhi." "They become immersed in samadhi even though it's hard," said the Buddha to Kamada. "Those who love calming the faculties, having cut through the net of death, the noble ones, Kamada, go on their way. But this path, Blessed One, is rough and hard to travel." "Though it's rough and hard to travel, the noble ones, Kamada, go on their way. The ignoble fall head first on a rough path. But the path of the noble ones is smooth, for the noble ones are smooth amid the rough." Sadhu. All right, friends. Welcome Chris and Ryan and Jayantha, Jay, Tom. And Karuna. Hello, Karuna. It's been a while. Hope you're well. All right. So we can start our meditation now. So set your body up in whatever comfortable and stable position works for you. I don't think we have any brand newbies here, so I don't need to do guiding for the scan of the body. Just as always, start from the feet, move up to the head, paying close attention to whatever feeling or sensation arises in that part of the body. Adjust your posture as needed. So you can try to set your body up in a stable and comfortable way to sit for long periods of time with less pain. Whenever you're done setting up your body in that comfortable and stable position, you can switch to following the breath. Remember to lay down your burdens. For the rest of the meditation, we will do a practicing of applying the 6 factors. So from here on in, spread your awareness from the breath, opening it up, encompassing the entire of your body and mind. Just try to keep a basic awareness. And as you're doing this, you will have a prominent feeling or a thought or experience arise. Pleasant and painful feeling, maybe itches, maybe thoughts and fantasies, all kinds of things may come prominently to your field of awareness. And whatever does, practice applying the 6 factors to. And whatever arises, you say these words. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not myself. This is impermanent. This is unsatisfactory. This is not self. Whatever arises, apply these 6 factors. You could even use it as a prompt for investigation. You could ask yourself the question, whatever arises, that physical feeling, that thought, is this me? Is this mine? Is this myself? Is this impermanent? Is this unsatisfactory? Is this not self? So whatever arises, apply the 6 factors. Use the 6 factors as a question for investigation. This is a tool to help mold your mind, open up your mind to the nature of reality, understanding things as they are. This is not mine. This is not me. This is not myself. This is impermanent. This is unsatisfactory. This is not self. Is this me? Is this mine? Is this myself? Is this impermanent? Is this unsatisfactory? Is this not self? This is not me. This is not mine. This is not myself. This is impermanent. This is unsatisfactory. This is not self. This is not me. This is not mine. This is not myself. This is impermanent. This is unsatisfactory. This is not self. According to the Buddha's teaching, there is not one aspect of your mind and body, not one experience in this life you will experience that falls outside of these six factors. whatever you experience, whatever you are, it's not me, not mine, not myself. It's impermanent, it's unsatisfactory, and it's not self. And one sees with their own experience in this way, one sees things as they are. Yatta Bhutta, Jnana Dasana. All right, friends. Hello, Shay. Welcome. Let's see. All right. I've already said hello to everybody except for Shay, who's here. So it is Monday night. That means it's time for Maggaseka Dhammapalooza, the Festival of Dhamma. We've already done some meditation. I'll do a little Dhamma talk, and then we'll see what happens after that. I just came off of a retreat this weekend, retreat on the 10 perceptions from the Girimandana Sutta. So I'm still recovering, still a little tired, but feeling actually decently energetic. So we'll see how it goes. All right. Just checking the chat. So the topic that I wanted to talk about in the small Dhamma talk is right speech. So the Buddha, obviously right speech is one of the 8 paths, 8 parts of the Noble Eightfold Path. So this is a very important topic. This is a very important practice. And in the suttas, the Buddha breaks down right speech into 4, avoiding 4 types of miccha vacha, wrong speech. The first one is musavada. Musavada is telling a deliberate lie. The way the Buddha describes this is like you're called into court. Obviously, back then there's no really court. He describes it as being called in front of the headman, right, the chief of the village, about something that happened. And telling deliberate lie is like, if you did not see, you say I see, or I saw. If you did see, you say I didn't see. Right? This is intentionally telling a lie for the sake of another, for the sake of yourself, etc. Right? So this is this musavada. The Buddha tells us that if the person does one thing, they could be expected to do anything else, and that is to tell a deliberate lie. Right? This is it can be hard to, I think, understand just how important it is to the Buddha that you live in truth, right? Because really, the Buddhist path is gradually, slowly living in line with truth. And so if you intentionally lie, even though we might say, well, there's white lies and this lies, etc., etc. Even if you intentionally lie, you are kind of essentially creating a fake world. You're creating a fake perception, a fake reality that's not in line with the truth. This is why the Buddha would, the average person, if you told the average person, well, I think that if somebody lied, they could kill people, they could do whatever that's like, I don't think most people would believe that. But we're talking about very deep Dhamma here, right? We're talking about the importance of not even wanting to speak something that is not in line with the truth. The Buddha says there are 3 things that are not long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. The literal core and summation of the Buddha's doctrine is called the 4 Noble Truths. So don't think lightly about telling a lie. Don't think lightly of it. Even if you do it, even if it's something small, you don't think it's really that impactful, at least acknowledge to yourself that you've lied. At least acknowledge to yourself that, yeah, that actually isn't true. That'll help you to not go too far into the delusion of the lie that you've created. So speaking truth, living in truth, living not by lies, this is a core aspect of the Buddha's path. So don't take lying lightly. It's a very important thing to try to do your best to never lie. Very important. Especially to yourself, as well as others. But lying to yourself is actually, I think, worse, because lying to yourself can create suffering for yourself and cause more harm for others. So that's musavada. Now, the next 2 is Pisarnaya and Parusaya, and I always mix up which one is which. But the next one that the Buddha talks about is divisive speech. This is speech. The Buddha describes this as you talk to this person over here, and they tell you things, and you go over to this person and tell them what they told you, so as to divide this person from that person. This is a person that is, they might not even be lying. They might be telling the truth. But they are using words as a weapon to divide people, right? To cause strife. What happens when people are divided? Anger, hatred, violence. Again, this is not a minor thing. Division is not good. Not good in the Sangha. This is why the Buddha placed such a high importance on communal unity, and a high penalties on people who cause schisms in the Sangha. Right? Causing division is pretty evil. It's a pretty evil act. And frankly, when I look out at my country, this is what I see on all sides. Everybody's pushing division. Everybody's pushing lies. It's not good. Right? Causing division among people is evil. There's no doubt about that. So a Buddhist practitioner should be one who strives to live by the truth, and also strives to unify people with their speech, not divide people. Not an easy task, but a worthy one. The third speech is abusive speech. This is speech that is kind of harsh, speech that is not pleasant to hear. I mean, you could probably include in here, curses and slurs and things like that. But it also can just be kind of gruff, rough speech. It's pretty open, and different, kind of different teachers will attribute different types of speech to abusive speech. But mainly it's speech that is kind of rough and gruff, not pleasant. And then there's the fourth type of speech to avoid that the Buddha gives under right speech, the onomatopoeia, as Bhante Gunaratana would always say. The onomatopoeia meaning the Pali word tells you exactly what or sounds exactly like what the English meaning is. Sampapalapa blah 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 blah. That's Bhante Gunaratana would always say. Right? It's useless speech. Speech that has no real value, no real benefit. It's just speaking to speak, talking about things that don't really bring any benefit. Speech of the well, speech of the water cooler, which is exactly the same thing, and the exact same phrase, the exact same thing, 2,600 years different. Most people through most of human history did not have plumbing that brought water to their houses, so you had to go to the well to get the water you needed. And you're waiting online as people get water from the well, and what do? You chit-chat. You start yapping. You go to the water cooler to get a drink, and other people are getting drinks. They're waiting to get their water. What do? They start yapping. Some papalapa blah blah. Right? So somebody who is trying to develop right speech is trying to be very clear and purposeful with their speech. Not just speaking because there's silence or because they're bored. Most people really can't actually can't handle silence. When you learn how to do public speaking, one of the first things you work on is you ever hear people speak who are not professionals? You hear a lot of these are called fillers. They're filling empty space. But especially with Dhamma teachers, the silence actually makes you seem more profound. Ooh, the silence. So it's better, and even in non-Dhamma circles, because silence is uncomfortable to so many people, silence can be very profound. So oftentimes it's better to be quiet, just to be with the silence. This also allows us to be mindful of what we are about to say. I like what I'm talking to people sometimes. This is not during a talk, but just if I'm engaging with lay people and Dhamma friends or whatever, and then there's a silence, and I just let it settle, and I go like, okay, who's gonna break it first? Somebody who's the most anxious? Who's going to break it first? Who's going to be the most uncomfortable? Almost always. I mean, if it goes long enough where I have to kind of, okay, time-wise, I have to end this, I'll say, very good. Good job. Nobody broke it. But usually somebody will break it. So being comfortable with that silence, being comfortable not just to automatically speak, that's a very important skill. There's an old saying for people when you're working with wood, right? When you're making things out of wood, you have to measure. You measure angles and then you mark the wood. There's all kinds of fancy ways to mark wood, even like chalk line. Like the line wraps up in a thing and there's chalk in there, and then you mark it along the wood and then you take it away and there's a line of chalk. You could see how to cut, right? There's a saying, and the saying is measure twice, cut once, meaning be very sure about your measurements before you start putting a saw to things, because once things are cut up, nothing's coming back. You can't put the wood back together once you saw it in half. I mean, technically you can use wood glue, but it's not going to be something you want to use as a decorative wood or for stability or anything like that. It becomes a useless piece of wood. So I adapted that saying to think twice, speak once. You could even say think twice, act once. It's a motto. It's a mindset of spend a little time mulling that over especially what you're going to say before you say it. Spend a little time doing that. Right? It's okay to be quiet. It's okay to not speak. Be careful of what you say. Be mindful of what you say. That's how we engage in practicing right speech. Being mindful of what we're going to say. Being comfortable with silence. And lastly, the Buddha, in a couple different places, gives some qualifiers for to say something. And so the question would be like, is it truthful? Is it factual? Is it beneficial? And even if all of the things are positive, it's truthful, factual, it'll be beneficial for the person you're going to say it to, etc., the Buddha says the Tathagata knows the right time to say it. Right? So it could be truthful. And you could even want to say it, because sometimes you have to tell somebody a truth, and they're not going to want to hear it. Right? And you don't have any kind of power over their response. But at the very least, if you say, okay, is this true? Did I really need to hear this? As to the best of my knowledge, yes, I believe it's true, because we can't always know what's true or not. We really can't. To the best of our wisdom, I believe this is true, and they need to hear this. So it's true, and I've thought about how I'm going to say it, because I don't want to have them be defensive. I don't want to escalate a situation, etc. When's the best time to say this? Right? That's important as well. Because what you're trying to do is for your benefit and their benefit, trying to purvey that information in the most skillful way possible. And then the rest is up to them. Right? You could say this: truthful, factual, beneficial, they need to hear it. I believe this is at the right time. I've done all I can. The rest, it's up to them. If they don't want to hear it, I tried. Right? So this is also something important to reflect on, right? Reflecting on all of the factors that would go into a conversation and trying to do your best and most skillful way in engaging with a person with your speech. Shay says, those ums are torture. Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting? I developed a bad habit from Bhante Sujato. I think it's just because I love Australian speech and I just, it's just, but there's a thing about, it doesn't have to be It could be other things as well. Because like listening to so much of Bhante Sujato, and it's not only just Bhante Sujato, some people, they'll say something and they'll be like, right. And it's not even that they give it a lot of pause or they say it could be just really quick, right? And it's almost like a kind of like asking for, yeah, this is right, isn't it? And so sometimes, I don't know that I do it much anymore, but I was definitely for probably a couple of years, I was like, right? And I'm like, God, dang it, I listened to too much Bhante Sujato. I think I've heard a couple of the Australian monastics use it. Maybe it's an Australian thing. I don't know. But Tom, this is a good point. I've heard abusive speech translated as harsh speech. Yes. But harsh speech is not necessarily abusive. Correct. Yes. And abusive isn't necessarily harsh. Yeah, I get it. So yeah, that's very, I think, succinctly put. I think that's important. Yeah. Karuna is talking about right speech being important in online spaces. Yep. Oh, you know what? When you really look at it, 90% of the time you're engaging with things in online spaces, you're just wasting your time, aren't you? Like, is you debating somebody else on a forum going to solve anything in your life? Right? It's just like, this politics and that politics and blah, blah. Are you guys on Capitol Hill? Are you like, are you? Well, we feel like it's kind of like I've been hearing my nephew and my father, like sports people, they were like, we're going to beat that other team and we're going to do this and we're going to do it. Like, wait, I didn't know that the Yankees hired you. Like, are you playing for them? What's going on? But that's this kind of, we're tribal beings. We're group beings, right? We have this kind of us versus them built into us. So even though it's really not going to actually do anything, we just want to fight that person on the internet, on that forum. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. Your thesis has been refuted. Go off and rescue your thesis. The real sutta ones will know that one. Yeah, I intentionally avoid like this and it's like that. I really do try to avoid that because I don't like it. I hate I cringe when I hear like this, man, like oh god. So I really intentionally go out of my way. I'll say like 3 extra words if I have to avoid using like. Yeah. That doesn't mean that I don't use it. I think I still do, but I think I use it a lot less than the average person. Just because I try to avoid it because I don't like it. Um, uh, Jay, I see your question. I'm going to get to it, but like, oh my God, like I can't believe it. Jesus. Ah, I could just like I've disliked that since I was a teenager. All right. Okay. What do they call it? Isn't that like the California Valley Girl? Yeah, I think that's what they call it. I mean, anyway, go to Jay's question. The old "What if you're hiding Jews in the floorboards from the Nazis?" question. This always comes up. What if flying saves someone's life? Like if killers are hunting for someone, and you can say you don't know where they are when you do know. Well, the average person's probably going to do that, but you should at least recognize that it's a lie. A wise being would know ways of dealing with it without lying. It can be done. I'm not saying I'm one of those wise beings. I would have to see what happens in the moment. But I do believe there are ways of dealing with things without lying. The Buddha actually gives an example, by the way. Um, the Buddha, in the Vinaya, the monastic rules, um, the Buddha is at a village, and this is pretty new after he became awakened. Um, I said, oh no. It's pretty new after he became awakened. And, oh no, I said, although I'm not, I guess if you say it while you're actually telling a story, it's not as bad. And this boy, Yasa, who was like the popular kid, I mean, he's like, like 18, 19. He's not like a child. Um, it goes up to the Buddha and talks to the Buddha. And actually, Yasa becomes awakened talking to the Buddha. And he becomes a monk. He's like, I want to become a monk and all this stuff. And then Yasa's father comes. And the Buddha, I don't know if it was the Buddha or Yasa himself, made himself invisible. And the father asked the Buddha, have you seen Yasa? Where's Yasa? And the Buddha says, I have not seen Yasa. What do you think? Buddha is technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. The Buddha was going deep Dhamma on the father. There is no Yasa, especially since Yasa has become awakened, but there was no Yasa before it. So, I mean, listen, the average person would say, I mean, come on, yeah, the Buddha did basically kind of lie, didn't he? But Oh, and he was invisible. There you go. I think, yeah, I do not see yasa or something. I don't remember the specific wording. Thank you, Didi. But the Buddha was being a little cheeky there. And it's like, uh, but technically correct. So I think there's kind of room for a wise being to handle things without really lying. I mean, I don't know. And what about saying a bunch of stuff you want to say and then adding just saying? Well, it's kind of like so people want to get a point across, but they don't want to do it in a harsh way, or they don't want to. It's kind of like they'll say something, but, oh, I was just kidding. No, you weren't. Oh, I'm just saying. One thing that I recognized as a fairly young person who was around Italians yelling and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just observing this because I was just like, this kind of quiet, just chill. It's like, okay, let's see this. What I would notice is people, when they were agitated, the truth would come out. And what would they say afterwards? Oh, I didn't really mean that. I was angry. No, that's really what you believe. It is. It's like, you like the normal constraints of society and familial bonds. You're like, you didn't want to, if you were going to say something, you didn't want to say it maybe that harshly. But come on, don't like that is really kind of some level of what you think. you know, mm, I saw through that at a pretty young age, but it is what it is. If you got angry and you said stuff, and afterwards you really, honestly, sincerely investigated it deep down, you weren't just making things up. Maybe I think a person would have to be pretty malicious to make things up to get somebody angry, right? Like, you don't have to. I mean, like, it's a kind of a typical thing, like, married guys, and I experienced this as well. It's like the typical. I mean, this might not be PC to say, but like the women can like hold on to something, like they like you did something bad, and like they'll throw it at you, like like months later, right? And some women were like, "Oh yeah, I had a boyfriend that was like that too." So whatever, I don't care. But like, I have experienced that. I'm like, well, wait a second. Oh, I thought we were past that. No, you have that, right? So like, people hold on to things, and when they're angry, they want to. They feel like they're on the attack. They'll throw it at you. They didn't. It's not like, oh, I didn't mean it. No, you meant it. Be honest. You were angry and you were looking for a weapon. Verbal daggers in the suttas, right? The monks were attacking each other with verbal daggers. Yeah. We hold on to these things, especially if they, not discussed and not kind of worked through. We hold on to them, and then when the time is ripe, we use it. It's Oh, hey, Dharma learner, how you doing? been a while. Hope you're doing well. Just came back from my Italian extended family gathering, which was a really, I say a really, uh, which was, oh, okay, so you're just doing, all right. Chris says, I wonder if refusing to answer would be considered skillful. That's the only thing I can think of. Well, let's be honest. Unless you have a really good poker face and a way to distract, refusing to answer, a sharp person could be like, they just, like, it is that way, isn't it? Like, oh, you do have Jews in the floorboards, don't you? Like, so, yeah, I mean, it kind of, I don't know. It's. I'm not claiming I know the answer to this. I just believe that a wise person could know other ways. Like how I tell you, right? What do I say when I talk about mindfulness, right? Mindfulness is like you and three people watch a situation, and they see three things to do, and you see five in response to the situation. Why? Because the clarity of mind allows you to see things, more options. So a wise being would have more options to use as opposed to lying. So that's where I'm kind of coming from when I say that. It was a rerun of 59. I don't know exactly what that means when you were younger, maybe, but uh, you were watching the stream a few minutes in the past. Oh, you mean like the little live went off? I've done that before, watching live streams. Yeah. Ah, yes. With a little mindfulness, you see how your patterns. Um, it's almost like you're like Neo in the Matrix, right? You see how things are basically going to go, right? Because of your practice. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works, to be honest with you. Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm quite happy that this Dhammapalooza for quite a while has not the community who attended have not been quite talkative, but we have a good bunch of Dhamma friends willing to engage and discuss in the chat, and that actually gives me energy. But once I shut this off, I'm probably going to start crashing pretty hard. But I'm like an energy vampire when I'm sharing the Dhamma. I borrow your energy until it's over, and then I crash. All right. We can't stand the silence. There's a time to be quiet, and there's a time to discuss with Dhamma friends. No problem. When I moved to Bhavana Society, so when you first go to Bhavana Society to live there, there's a 3-week period where you're kind of evaluated, and at the end of the 3 weeks, the community decides if you're okay to stay longer. And then there's a 3-month period after that. But at the end of the 3-week period, Bhante Ji called me into the meeting, and Bhante Ji said, Jaisara, everybody likes you to be here. You work well. Everything is good. But we have to understand that it's not all the time that we should talk Dhamma. You talk Dhamma very well, and your Dhamma is good. But we can't, so basically Bhante Ji was saying, some people don't want to be yapping Dhamma all the time, just they want to do their thing, they want to go. And so I was a little, boisterous. Nothing's changed. I guess I've tried to funnel my boisterousness more into when I'm teaching, when I'm sharing Dhamma than in general, but that's it. I remember, I just remember Bhante Ji kind of like, that was the one negative thing. You probably talk too much about the Dhamma. You all have been with me long enough to know that I don't do the whole kind of stern stoic monk thing very good. It's just not my thing. I'm just more in the Ajahn Brahm camp of things, and I've accepted that, and I'm perfectly fine with it. All right. I think a little bit of small talk is okay, right? I think the suttas often say something like, when the greetings and polite conversations were over, the Buddha said this. Jay, very astute. I'm very, very good, Jay. So what that is convention. It's like you're just walking down the street and you say, hey, how you doing? You say, oh, I'm doing good. You? Good. Okay. And then like, nobody's going to actually stop. Nobody's going to actually say like, oh, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm depressed. I'm feeling about killing myself. I'm going to do this. Nobody's going to do that. Right? It's just perfunctory kind of nicety, social nicety. Right? Which again, I always thought this is kind of silly. Nobody's going to, this is why I just nod. Like when I'm doing my walking, like walking with my father, walking, or I'm just walking past, just a nod. Kind of almost like the old cowboy thing. I know, I just like the nod. It's just like, I recognize you, have a good day. I don't have to say anything. So, yes, I think it's perfectly okay to kind of do the chit-chatting as a way to break ice, as a way to make a connection. But then after that, even Thanissaro Bhikkhu has, Ajahn Jeff has agreed with this as well. He says, and I also agree with it. Like at Bhavana Society, remember, I met thousands of people in my 5.5 years there. And most often, how I got to know people was doing dishes with them, even as a bhikkhu. Hour of dishes every day. So I'd be in the back with new people who just say, oh, hey, how you doing? Where are you from? What's your job? Just BSing with them. And I would bring up, oh, yeah, I was this in lay life. Just kind of making those connections. But then the second time they visit, the third time, the fourth time, I'm not, oh, how is blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh, how's your practice going? How you doing? How's your meditation? Right? So I used that, the kind of non-Dhamma stuff to make a connection, to break the ice. And then afterwards, I let it go. So yeah, if you know how to skillfully do it, then sure, yeah, no problem. No, I don't know what to stop and chat. I was never a Seinfeld person. My father was more, but I'll stop and chat if it's an actual chat, not if it's a perfunctory whatever, just saying some words in passing. Nah. Yeah, you all like my teaching. That's because you're Westerners. The typical like Sri Lankan and Thai person is not going in for the happy joy monk like that. It's just that's just, and those monks aren't usually that kind of outwardly happy joy kind of people either. At least when they're sharing the Dhamma. It's just the way the culture. It's the way people learn, and it's the way the culture kind of does things. I don't know who that is, Tom. I'm a Dasanatero, but that's basically true. Yeah. We're supposed to conform with the norms of society we live in, not ruffle feathers. That's especially true for monastics. That's especially true for people who want to have the Dhamma grow, for sure. Right? Because we're trying to grow something, we're trying to live and to grow something in a society. We don't want to go against that society, and we have to adapt sometimes to that society. That's why the Dhamma has to adapt a little bit, and not the Dhamma, but the religion has to adapt a little bit in the West, right? Because things are different in the West. That doesn't mean it has to be done in a very mindful, very skillful way, because too many people want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But you have to be within the lines. I mean, Buddha basically says what Jesus said: give to Nero what is Nero's, right? Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, right? That's why there's a rule that Buddhist monks can't bypass toll roads, right? Because Buddhist monks don't carry money. So they were with what happened, the story goes that Buddhist monks were with a caravan, and the caravan kind of skirted the tolls, and the Buddhist monks were part of that, and the people were not too happy about it. The king was not too happy about it. So the Buddha basically says, doesn't matter, you're not skirting tolls, right? Give to Caesar what is Caesar's. So I worry that saying fine when you're not is false speech. Well, you know what I would say, and this was a word I used a lot at Bhavana, because it succinctly encapsulated exactly what I was doing. How you doing? I learned this, actually, I would say this in my CPS days, but my response was, I'm surviving. That's it. I'm surviving. That's kind of like what does that mean exactly? But it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm surviving. That's it. Um, oh, Curb Your Enthusiasm. I remember watching a couple episodes of that with my father a long time ago. This is well before I was a monk, but I don't really. I make the reference. The story I tell about how the Buddha taught mindfulness of death and all the monks killed themselves, right? And the Buddha comes out and asks like why the sangha has diminished. I kind of view in my mind the image is the Buddha coming out doing the Larry David thing, like where did all the monks go? Yeah. When people ask me how I am, I say I don't know. Interesting. I think that's another conversation killer. They'll be like, I don't know how to respond to that. Hmm. All right. Well, very good, Sadhu. I'm so happy you were all here. Some regulars who I remember from the past who haven't been around in a while, you've come back, helping to make the chat lively, helping to keep me awake and energetic after the retreat from this weekend. So I think this is a very good Dhammapalooza. Thank you for coming together and talking as Dhamma friends. Much appreciated. I think we can close out. Let's, all right, friends. So for those of you who might be watching this video for the first time, if you're interested in learning more about myself and the aspiring Buddhist organization, Magga. Oh, Karuna, I don't think you even know what's going on, do you? Let's just say there's a good chance within the next month, Magga is a 501c3 in Colorado. Things are progressing. And there's a good chance by summer next year, I'm living in Colorado. So things are moving. Either tomorrow or the next day, I'll have Magga as an incorporated entity in Colorado. And then I have to go through the process of the 501c3, which is a bit more complicated. So things are moving, Karuna, which means, there's a good chance you probably will never see me at Empty Cloud again, or at least not very often. I don't know how much I'll come back east once I'm in Colorado, just simply because there's no reason. I mean, unless people invite me to come teach and pay for my flights and things like that, that's different. But I think I probably won't be coming back east that often. We'll see. People want me to come and drag me back, I will. But oh, and also Karuna, I will be at Empty Cloud October 27th to about November 11th. So I'll be there for 2 weeks. So stop by. All right. So back to my little spiel at the end. Check out the website. On the website, you can find all the information regarding myself, regarding Magga, including articles and various other things that you can peruse. And I've been a nomad for a long time. And Shay, I've been feeling it. Like the last year, I've been kind of like, I'm pretty done. I don't know if I could have lasted as long as Bhante Rahula. Bhante Rahula, after leaving Bhavana, did it for like 13 years. I don't know if I could. I'm a homebody. I need some stability, at least some semblance of stability in a existence of anicca. Um, so, but yeah, I'm happy that the nomad life seems, hopefully, to be ending. We're not there just yet. We'll have to see how things go. All right, let's share screen for merits. We have our more and more Colorado friends being part of our streams, like Dee. Right? But I will always be online. Even when I have a monastery in the woods, in the I'm going to be having that, what do they call it, Starlink. So I don't have to worry about broadband internet this and horrible internet that like a Bhavana. I'll be able to stream, be in the Rocky Mountains, secluded, happy and peaceful, and then I'll log on for Dhammapalooza. So the streams will always continue, that's for sure. All right. Let's share screen, window. Dukkha patta chane dukkha, bhaya patta chane bhaya, sokha patta chane sokha, untu sabbe pipanino, ettavata chamehi, sampatang punya sampatang, sabbe deva anmodantu, sampasampati siddhya, akasata chabumata, deva naga mahidika, punyang tang anmoditva, charang rakantu sasanang. May the suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit of ours that we've thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddhist dispensation. All right, friends. We have come to the end of probably the most active Dhammapalooza in many months. So it's good to be with you all. Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy and at ease. Practice well and be well. May you have a spiritually successful and peaceful practice until we meet again, which could be tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for morning monastery experience, or maybe next Monday if I'm alive for another Dhammapalooza. So have a good week.